time, and just give some people some time to arrive, because I know it says I'm live on another link, but I'm actually live on this link, so just wait to see for the notifications. A lot to say today. I'm trying to think in the order in which best to say it. But yeah. Work on getting my voice. Okay. I don't even know. Hello. First person. A concerned citizen. Hey, sweetie. Thank you. I love you too. Thanks for being here. You were the first. I was just saying that before I go into anything, because I have a lot I want to share. Of course, when it came a bit earlier to see, help give people some time to come before I start going into everything. And wow, 2 likes already. Not sure how that's possible with 1 person watching. But yeah, so I don't know how to yet, when I watch my live videos back, see the comments, but I can see them here on my phone. It's so strange. I still need a crash course in doing live videos. And who's the second person here? Oh, 3. Okay, wow. Every time I'm about to talk, it's so funny on camera, I lose my voice a little bit. So I'll do some healing for my throat chakra that I'll be able to speak okay. Maybe I'm a bit shy, which I'm not usually shy. Well, in my past I've not been known for that, but I am a little bit now, I guess, since it's been a while since doing videos like this, and really working on getting my bearings again. But it's always that shyness in speaking. I don't know why. The message, the message is always stronger than the nervousness to speak or whatever, insecurity or whatever. So that's always been the case for me, and that's all what I always tell everybody else too, and for speaking, because I mean we all need to speak right now. So okay, 5. Maybe I'll just get started with that. I think so. Like I said, I have a lot I want to share in this video today. A lot has been coming to me lately, from going from a lot of darkness and sadness of what's been going on in Maui, and also here in Canada, Kelowna, and the Northwest Territories, and the world. And there's the storms in the States, the fires in the States, and I'm well aware of how much Africa is on fire, the earthquakes in Tibet, and everything going on in Europe too, and even Russia has fires. So it's been, as an empath, as we all are, I'm sure you all are, it's been a lot. It's been a very challenging week, but what it really did is push me. I mean, I don't know, I'm getting emotional about it, just reliving it, but I'm not going to cry this time, even though I've cried in the last several videos I've done with you guys. So it's just been, I understand how much processing and healing that the world is calling for right now, but also serious alchemy transformations are happening within us. So it's really incredible. I've been thinking about it because I know that I have something to do during this time. I feel it in my bones, and I've been trying to figure it out, just get more detailed information, particularly as we understand more of the plan. And for me, it's been a bit more, well, I mean, everybody has had their own, ways of getting there and challenges of getting there to their realizations. But for me, because I was there and I took a massive detour, which I now understand why that is, and the short version of it is a slingshot. A faster way to get there is to go several steps back, pull back, pull back, pull back, so to the point that you reach where you can't go back any further, and then you just excel really quickly ahead. And it also had to be, because I kind of, I don't know if to say cheated in the astral realm, because if you guys know how I worked a lot in the astral and dream realm, lucid dreaming, visiting people in their dreams and stuff like that, I was able to see behind the veil of my incarnation and see my guides and what they were planning. And I guess that's called cheating, in that I wasn't supposed to know. And so I was actually banned from lucid dreaming for a while, and I thought that was like a punishment, but it wasn't. It is something that we have to experience in the way that the linearity rules are right now. I mean, I was jumping ahead wanting to break that, because we will and we're supposed to, but do you understand what I mean? In which we're not supposed to know exactly what's going to happen to us. That's why people who are psychic, they're able to see some things for people, but not everything, you know, even for their own lives. They can have other psychics give them some bits and pieces, but not everything. Otherwise, it would change the outcomes that are required to come to us when we're in the moment, as we are building the now moment in the now. So when you jump ahead to the future or try to see things, then it becomes something that is not good, basically. It's not something we should be doing. But of course we want to know, right? And it's that curiosity, of course, but it's like also these several meditation visualizations we do when we, even people have told me when I've traveled the world, they've had, remember angels coming to them as kids and telling them what they're going to experience in their life, what's going to happen to them. But, you know, don't worry, despite it all, that you'll be protected, basically, right? But again, they still said there's a lot of things that happen that they weren't aware of, or they just don't remember. So there's an important thing about just experiencing and knowing what to do in the moment. Exactly, a concerned citizen. The future is only fixed when we see it, so be careful what you wish for. Or what we think we want, right? Because we're not exactly what we think we want, it can be conditioned from someone else's ideals of what how life should be. My cats have decided to be vocal during this, so yes. Maybe they'll come and visit, we'll see. So what I wanted to say, like I said, I have several things. Hi. Come say hi if you're just gonna meow in the background. This is Appalachia, she's grounded. Come say hi. Come say hi, let everyone see how beautiful your beautiful face. My Lynx girl. Yeah. So she's upset because she's grounded, and she's grounded because she has to respect curfew. All the cats come in before sunset, and she didn't, so she has to stay in the house in the day and watch all the other cats play outside for a couple days. I'm not sure, maybe after the weekend. But it's just really important because of all the things that, like, things in the night, basically, that I just want to keep my babies safe. But it's funny because all the other cats, because she's not going out, they all want to be in with her as well. They're not so keen to go out. But yes, anyway, so you guys have, there's a reason, I guess, you've been drawn to me, and that I'm very excited to talk about as well too. And then also, ever since I was young, I remember people would just recognize me somehow as I don't know if it's my light or something I do in the future, but it's always been that way. When I spoke, whenever I opened my mouth, even if I wasn't saying anything deep or profound, people listened. So I had this ability, I realized at a young age, that I understood that it's not so much what I'm saying, but the vibration behind it, the intent behind it, and something in my eyes and something in my voice. And I've always been fascinated by that, and I'm like, how does that fit in the bigger picture of things, particularly when you're a teen and trying to be normal, and all these so-called paranormal things, or normal things, really, how our birthright is supposed to be, keep occurring, right? It was just these hammerings at the matrix. And for those of you who've been following me for a while or known about me for a while, yeah, I'm coming back to myself again. I know you waited a long time. You knew it was going to happen. That's why you've always been by my side and been supporting me, and are also part of my guides, right? We are each other's guides, future versions of ourselves, present versions of ourselves in multi-dimensions. And I'm getting ahead. I'm getting ahead of all the things I wanted to say. So for those of you who don't know, who are just drawn to me, I shared my story in Project Camelot, but it was all about basically in my teens, I had the awakening that a lot of people are having right now of what's going on in the world, all the corruption, all the how the governments are controlled and all of that, as well as the cosmic perspective. And when I was 16, my sister passed away, and she shortly after passing away, I guess she didn't really pass away, she came back and started talking to my dad and said that, you know, the universe is like a big garden, there's lots of tending to, and it's a very exciting time to be alive. And I had to come back and prepare certain family members for their work. They have a mission to do. And then some messages she was referring to me, that I was one of them, and my dad was trying to relay that. And then angels started coming through and giving messages, and again, they were directed at me. And then the Pleiadians, and I found out that apparently some Pleiadians came to my dad when my mom was pregnant with me, and said you have to name her after us, and all these things. So connecting me to the star people, and particularly the Pleiadians. Also, when my dad was 8 years old, he was taken up family would be doing in the future, to a degree, not everything, but just hearing though that it's an exciting time to be alive is such a weird thing now, now at this time, because it was like, this doesn't feel very exciting, this feels terrifying. And but I keep telling people, and I keep knowing and I keep getting, every time I ask my guides, that, you know, we will win, and that they've lost, and there's nothing to worry, and this is our shift and our transition. But it's hard to see it when what we're only seeing is constant bombardment of fear and stuff like that. But sorry, I jumped ahead again. But my mother also, on her side, and her family, parents have had connections with our star family, particularly the Pleiades as well. So I also heard something recently that RH negative people are also very connected with the star people, and a majority of us, I believe, have work to do here pertaining to this. But it's just interesting for me to just reflect on all of that, and just realize that, I guess, even hammered to me, particularly after my sister passed, and all the beings that came through, and all the messages, no matter where I went or what I did, like books would fall at my feet at the library, or bookstores with the exact content of what my dad was sharing, even though because I didn't want to believe it. It was too out there for me at the time. And people would come up to me that I didn't know, and they'd give me books or videos or whatever. So I don't know if you guys remember, I used to talk about a documentary that was given to me. It was 5 parts on VHS, called The Legend of Atlantis by Elia the Prophet. I found it recently on BitChute, and I tried to share it on my Facebook. And, well, now we have, of course, our Canadian censorship is ramping up, so I wasn't able to show it, but I took a screenshot, and you can easily type in all that information on your own and find it no problem that way. So I was given that too, and that's a very, very interesting documentary about our history with the Star People, and how the Dark Brotherhood came in to existence as well. And yeah, so rejecting all of that until my dad passing away by saying things that were pretty harsh. I feel I did have, even though they say again we didn't basically saying it's okay, you can go now, I'll do your work, you know, that you've passed on to me, like the baton. And then I took a big detour, and here I am back again, and I'm ready to work again in that way. So you should consider sharing all that, girl. I'm working on it. I'm sharing it as best I can. I just don't know if I want to rehash everything exactly in the Project Camelot interview. I know a lot of you know, and some of you don't, so I don't want to repeat too much of that, because of, you know, it brings up a lot of things, reliving a lot of things. So I can't just talk about things without reliving it. Even with writing too, that's how I'm able to remember everything verbatim, like a photographic memory, because I just relive it all, and particularly my mindset at that time, my thinking at that time, versus comparing with the thinking I have at this time today. Yes, humanity does have a sense of humor, and so do the Star people. So yeah, following the white rabbit. There's so many words to use, right? There's so many beautiful terms to use. So now, I think that it's important to still share, and I'm very grateful to everyone who is sharing and exposing the darkness and the agenda and putting all the pieces together. That is a lot of work to do, and research, and there's so many people doing it and adding it to this puzzle piece for everybody, because there's something about awakening that you guys, I'm sure you all remember and are aware of, even though, like, I keep getting this sort of, when I share about the problem, particularly on Facebook, because I'm very fond of Facebook, this is where I've connected with a lot of you, and a lot of beautiful things came through, and I believe that it's a double-edged sword right now. It can be used to censor and control, and it can be used to bring people together and inform and awaken the masses. And that's what I've done with Facebook since the very beginning. But I've been having, when I fell into a little bit of a depression last week, to the point I couldn't do anything. I felt guilty to do anything because, or have fun or enjoy the weather or anything, knowing all the losses of and grief of the planet and people, animals, nature, freedom, and all those things. And I would share. I shared more than I think I ever did in a day there on about what happened there, about DEW and so forth. And some people were like, "Oh, you're negative. You're spreading negativity." And I'm like, no, we need to inform people still of exactly what the problem is. We can't, as much as it would be great to just have our gardens and, you know, focus on the beauty and things we enjoy, that's constantly being intercepted by these dark ones that are fighting for our attention and to control the masses. And unfortunately, they still have a lot of people under their spell. So this is why things like this are happening, because it has to wake up people quicker, right? And I have a hard time thinking of it in a in a divine way, something so horrible, because I guess I feel like why does it have to be the hard way? Isn't there other ways? Are we not like creative enough to show people through a beautiful, loving way to wake up? So, and I've been talking with my star family about this as well. I say star family because it's not just the Pleiades. The Pleiades are a big part of it. They are the catalyst for me, but I also work with the other races. Some we know, some we don't know. Some I don't know how to pronounce, but I can just feel them by a certain kind of a vibration or and so forth. So I will look at the comments later. Before I would just usually stop what I'm saying and respond to comments. And a few things catch my attention a little bit, but I'm going to this time focus on saying all that I want to say before I read your comments and answer your questions. But feel free to still put whatever you like there. So when I got all this information, when I got videos from David Icke lectures when I was 16, and Alex Collier, Jordan Maxwell, a bunch of 9/11 things, which happened around that time too. I think, no, I was 14. I'm so bad with numbers. What year was it? Anyway, sorry, I'm drawing a blank when it comes to time to do that. But anyway, I was getting all this information, and a lot of it was very scary and disturbing and upsetting. And one of my motivations, and I think what also made me become a speaker, was my frustration with the whistleblowing community, is that they were focusing on the problem. And that's what I kind of chastised Project Camelot about when I met them, because Camelot was actually supposed to be about more the problem. I found out later on that Avalon, Project Avalon, was more about the solution. But that was, I guess they were having their split around the time that I spoke. But anyway, it's important. People need to understand the darkness and what's going on and how they've been controlled for a long time. They need to know how ugly it is, what people have endured, what children have endured, how evil they are. You know, and it's upsetting, and it's sad, and it's a low vibration, sure, but it's a part of the awakening process. Here's what's been done to you for thousands of years, you know. And now what are you going to do about it? Here's the truth of who you actually are and what you're capable, and why this is being done. So it has to, people need to see that deception, that evil, in order for us collectively to act and do something. I'm still trying to understand how exactly this is going to get played out, not the detail, but certain sequences of events that are to come, that we are being prepared for, and that we've been prepared for the last, content on this stuff has been coming out since the last 50, 60 years, right? More and more things are coming back from further out, documents are coming out from, and, heavily so in the last 20 years. And so it just has to all come out. Like I said, this is the time of revelations and apocalypse, which means come to light of what's been hidden. So the star people that are working there, our planet is surrounded right now with their ships. And they are basically, they're forced, the Dark Ones, to now reveal themselves. They're not allowed to hide anymore. We have to be able to see them. So that is the reason why things are getting crazier and crazier with them, like with the children and this grooming and all that has to be seen. Everything that they're doing has to come out. And they're given an ultimatum, and a lot of them have been removed from the planet. They do have a time and date, which I don't know, of when they will all be removed. There are some that are refusing to leave until they can do as much damage and fear as possible. When a beast is dying, it's the most, like, at its wildest and craziest and unpredictable, because it's the most dangerous at that time. And it's again just trying to take as many casualties as it can with it. Simultaneously, that's waking us up more and more, but making us angry, so that can also pull people collectively into the a lower vibration, which is something that they want as well, right? So let's put ourselves in the perspective of our star family. Because every night we go to sleep, we are connecting with them and discussing with them about our avatar here and about what's going on here, and what we should do next, what our avatar needs next, and what we should do collectively next, and what it is like a bit of a chess game as well, even though parts of it, to my understanding, has already played out and been decided. So this is the multidimensional facet right now. But just, if you put yourself in their shoes, and you know that you're not supposed to be a savior of the people, you know that you can't do it for them, you know that it's a co-collective, co-creational process, that they need us to save ourselves, they need us to awaken, and they're well aware that we're prisoners by these dark beings. What do? Right? If you can't come, they would like to save us. They'd like to prevent these things, but they can only do as much as where we are at as collective civilization, where the Earth's consciousness is at collectively. So you try to telepathically, synchronistically get through to the prisoners, right? By whatever means possible. And in my meeting with them last night, they were discussing about the possibility of the people that are still heavily asleep, maybe something like they're thinking about half the population to all have the same dream, and then discuss that the next day. Won't that be an interesting, thing to happen? And they've done this before in other worlds that they freed up from this parasitic dark race that's here. So, but I think that it's important for all of us to put ourselves in the star people's shoes, and you see the situation of what's going on Earth. You know what you can and cannot do based on prime directive rules about interfering, based on also not enabling or creating another religion of or savior mentality or any of that kind of thing, which isn't empowering and isn't going to help us reach the higher vibration in the long run, because we have to step into our power. We can't keep playing small, which is my qualms with religion and why I could never fully embrace it or the teachings, because it is about giving our power away all the time to God, and God is always like, hey, I gave you everything you need. You are the answer to your prayers, right? You have you just got to work collectively. You just have to realize that. So I feel like this is really important for us. Otherwise, it's another sort of a trap, waiting for someone to save us, right? Savior mentality, psychology, and this sin or dying for our sins when people are suffering with all kinds of horrible things, much like Christ and with the children, sounds like, worse. And really, what dying for sins, what sin actually is our unconscious behavior, and our conditioning, and our the brainwashing is really like all of that horrible thing is happening because we are so asleep and so conditioned that we're allowing it, right? And that's really true sin. And so there's so much more I can get into about it, but that's why whenever people ask me, I'm always yeah, I could never go fully that way route, even though it's a good way to unite people, but it's also a good way to trap people and not grow spiritually, and not dig deep within for answers to soul archaeology, and also how anything connected to nature, not so much, I don't know how it got twisted to worship nature, but appreciate nature is considered paganism, is evil. It's not. It's what we're supposed to do. Look after nature and appreciate nature. But really, we're not supposed to worship anything. So, that brings me to some other things I wanted to bring up as well, about what's coming. So, I posted on my Facebook, and I don't think I shared it here with you guys, but I came across these documentaries, which a lot of people have already seen. I'm apparently one of the latter ones to see it, on Amazon Prime, Stephen Greer's Unacknowledged and Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. So, I find these documentaries very, very interesting and important to help wake up people as well. And also it represents a solution of what we need to do, of the projects that, of Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. He even has an app now, which I'm not quite sure how it works. It does help you connect with people in your area that also have the app, that want to get together and connect with our star family, outside of the government's influence and anything like that. But I haven't had any responses yet, so I've got to kind of look more into that. But I thought that I'm not going to wait for this. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to you guys about doing something like that, via a meditation here, or we gather in certain areas where we are located, because I'm well aware you're all over the world, or not, locally in my town, which I'm constantly trying to find people closer by as well, to do these things with. And I have a few, but I'd like a lot more, because they will all give us individual guidance and collective guidance on how to navigate ourselves through these times, because the next 10 years are going to get really wild. Particularly, like, there absolutely has to be, the Dark Ones know there has to be a revealing of that aliens are real. They're here. They've been here a long time. They're a part of our creation and development, and of the hologram, what it was meant to be versus what it's become. Last time we talked about how we feel the timelines had shifted. Some of you said you felt the timeline shifted in 2016, and we were pulled into a different timeline altogether, a darker one, or maybe a faster acceleration one. I'm not sure. But I've been sitting on that, and I'm thinking there's actually several. I'm sure there was one also when Kennedy was killed, and also probably the 1920s. There was a big one, a big shift during that time, because we were so technologically advanced in the 20s. I was looking at old images, and like, they had free energy at that time, like what Tesla was, working on. People had this just on the top of my head now, I can't remember exactly all the things we had, but there's a catalog from even before the 1920s, like 1914, 1908, of all the things that we have today. They have, but better quality, and lasted longer, and that was all destroyed. And if you look at the pictures of the destruction of it, and even there's some images with the Zephyr, it looks a lot like a DEW weapon as well. So it's something to think about, exactly when these timelines shifted, and because these are key markers and things that indicate also. So not only do they have access to time travel, which I've talked about several times, what they've been doing with it exactly to send us into a very thought out matrix in which they can have, again, as much casualties as possible, but also simultaneously wake the collective up. So, going back to Greer, when I posted about Greer, there are some people that are like, what frustrates me about him is he's always talking about how good the ATs are and how the government's constantly trying to make them out to be the bad guys, particularly in media, again, dystopian futures, evil alien movies, which I never could watch. And that's true. We're being conditioned to fight them. And they do want to make contact with us collectively, but again, putting yourself in their shoes, they're worried about their safety. You know, we are asking them, you know, are you peaceful? And they are, but we are not, because whenever they try to get close or have certain missions, and they jump in and out of our dimension, which is the third dimension. Then they go through the fourth to the fifth, and that's why they're able to move really fast in the sky for the people that have seen crafts. I'm refraining from saying UFOs because I know how they just dislike this term, so I'm trying to respect that for them. That they end up being shot down when the military sees them, and they always appear in military areas, in particular, where they have their weapons, like nuclear weapons and so forth. And of course, the media and the military is using it. Oh, they're interested in our weapons. That's what they want to use on us. No, they're interested in it because they're concerned about it. Because when we dropped the H-bomb, they started to really pay attention to us and what's going on here, and became very concerned, because what happens to them also happens to. What happens to us also happens to them. So it is a ripple effect, and they also. How we are here to graduate, how I say Earth is a Harvard University for creators in training, and we're this incarnation. Every single lifetime you've lived has prepared you for this lifetime in which you've lived every single one in this one simultaneously. Like, they were like, say that 10 times to yourself, particularly just for yourself. You'd say it to everybody else, but say it for yourself and remind yourself of that. Because I'm okay with this happening in my life, but I'm not okay with that happening in my life, kind of a thing. So they really were like, okay, you got to work on this yourself, Jess. You have to take your own advice. So touche. That's good. That's true. I mean, I need to hear that. But all of that is also affecting them, and they also will graduate, basically. Some qualms people have, though, with Stephen Greer, is that they're like, why isn't he's trying to protect them and trying to get through to the people, rather than what the government's trying to tell us about ETs and how peaceful they are and how they're trying to help us. I don't quite like ET either, sorry. Star people, star family. Which isn't quite accurate either, but it's the best, it's nicer put for them, I guess. Not that they get offended or anything, but just, yeah. So people want Stephen Greer to admit also that there are evil star beings that, because right now it's mostly peaceful, and I understand if you're in his shoes and you're doing the work and the mission that he's doing, then it would be contradictory, I guess, to mention evil aliens, let's just say. But that is what these darker beings are. They are not human. I shared something on my wall about destroying CO2 destroys all life. Making the CO2 as low as possible will take the plant life out, the bees, nothing can, our whole biosphere, and just nature cannot exist without CO2. And there's a plant apparently in Squamish, BC, that is sucking out CO2 as much as possible out of our atmosphere to basically make it harder also to breathe. Simultaneously with us wearing masks for a couple of years, and now we are hearing that they're coming back in probably sometime in September, early mid-September. They're bringing back all COVID mandates, and apparently the variants coming from Canada as well. So, you know, they're really picking on Canada right now, but it's not about us, it's the whole world. And everyone's watching and is aware about Trudeau and would like how idiotic he is. But I mean, all of our leaders are. Wherever you guys are in the world, you all have idiotic, horrible, tyrannical leaders, and it's meant to be that way. And they did that so that we lose our complete faith in our leaders, whatever we've had from all that conditioning of being built up to believe in them so much, and all of that BS, to now give your power away to the UN and the WHO, and even their false alien invasion that they're gearing for too, right? So I didn't get there, but that's also something that Stephen Greer is referring to in his documentaries. He's trying to prevent us from believing the false narrative of Project Bluebeam, where they're using holograms, and best of that Hollywood can show of in our skies and to make it seem like we are being invaded by, I believe, so it's gonna, I'm trying to figure out the timeline. So I understand that there's they're going to make it look most likely evil because they want us to fight the ETs, but they also want us to fight the ones that are here to help us and not be in such a low vibration that we can't recognize who's who. But they're also going to make something that's going to seem like it's very good and beautiful and it cares about us and everything. And it will look like the return of Christ, basically, which I said that the Bible is something that the Cabal is tampered with a lot, and particularly Revelations. They're working very hard to get the collective of religious people to manifest it as a reality, simultaneously pissing them off and forcing them to, well, I also saw a video that was removed from Facebook about MAPS, minor attracted people, legalizing that and making it that even if you're religious and you're against this, that it's they have a right to take your kids away and you have no say and all that. And again, it's fear and stuff like that, but again, we need to see how ridiculous they are, and using anti-life associations, connotations, just the opposite of, sorry, I got distracted. Like I said before, live spelled backwards is evil, and lived spelled backwards is devil, right? So it's an inversion, perversion reality, everything anti-life. So taking our oxygen and destroying all life, we think they have to live on this planet too, but they don't, because they're ETs. They're not from here, and what applies to for us does not apply to them. So this is something that people need to realize as well. And the reason I'm doing my best to explain it to you all right now is because you will be explaining it to people in your area. People will come to you as well, and we are going to be the ones helping everybody make sense of all of this and assist in their awakening. And it's probably going to be on a very large scale. You might have like a lot of people. I imagine your whole town coming to see you and ask you questions about what the heck is going on, right? Why is this happening and all this kind of stuff. So I'm very much about, and what I'm working with the Star people about is a prevention, because at some point also with this false antichrist, who basically, the false Christ that will fool a lot of people, we're told, what they will want in return is to be worshipped. And that is a big indication of how you know that they are not legit and don't have our best intentions in mind, because star people do not want to be worshipped. They want to empower us. They don't want to create another religion or indoctrination on the masses. This is tying to the New World Order, one religion, one world religion, one government, and so forth, right? One currency. So it's pretty obvious, but I still think it's important to say, because a lot of people will fall for it, and so this will also be a part of your job to help people through that too, when they realize they're deceived. Now, I'm trying to understand about if there's actually two worlds, if there's going to be a split, because I've heard that a lot too, and I think a lot of things are getting lost in translation. I'm sure you guys have heard that, that there's going to be the third dimension world is going to, be a darker timeline, and we're supposed to leap to a higher one. But then I also get that, and my relationship with Diego was a lot about court and trying to explain why future is not about like facing our extinction, but our spiritual development. And then also mentioning before that a lot of work I've done in the astral is also like a court too, defending the collective of humanity and trying to prevent the amount of losses in the near future that we keep hearing and that keeps getting forecasted to us. So because they are also talking about at some point too, along with everything else, is the poles are going to shift. And I talked about in my previous video, then where I live will be sunny and tropical all year round, but they mentioned to me that it's going to be catastrophic, and they can try to, they're doing their best to reduce the impact and the damage it's going to do to the planet and the people, but it will flood all of the coasts, every coast in the world, about 150 miles inland. That should most likely be gone. And I don't want to spread fear. I'm just trying to say that, like, we have to share this information in a way like, here's the problem, let's be realistic. I'm trying to let you know so we can plan and act accordingly. I'm not going to say, oh, ignore this and be positive and focus on what you love while a tidal wave is coming to your door. We have to prepare. This is another thing we need to prepare people for. And I'm also, I don't know about you guys, but and I don't know how attached you are to your physical form of this transition that we're about to make. I'm quite attached to it. I would like to be in my physical form for this transition, whereas, again, a lot of people okay, that can totally be hidden. I don't know why someone's saying that. Anyway, I'm trying not to look at this comments right now. I think it'd be a beautiful thing for people to take their physical form with them, that they don't need to die in order to experience this, basically heaven on earth that we're here to assist and create. And so I was talking with them, and I also it clicked to me that the realization that I was thinking about and talking about in my videos long ago about the tsunami in Thailand do you guys remember what year that was when that happened? I don't know if it was 2003 or 2009. I'm really bad with years and dates, so help me out there. It was 2004? Okay. So this tsunami really fascinated me at that time, and I remember I heard that none of the animals died during that tsunami. because they knew 2 weeks in advance. And they went to higher ground. And I kept thinking, like, imagine if we could do that, if we were so connected like animals. Because I've also heard, like, when a so-called natural disaster is about to happen, or a few days, a few weeks before it happens, that animals react very funny, you know, and give indication that something big is about to happen and a warning, right? And so I just kept thinking, like, can we do that as well? Can we get so connected with the earth, humans collectively, like animals, that we can know several weeks in advance and move to safety? Or, like, do we just move all of us inland more? Like Alex Collier, who lives in Colorado, and I was listening to him say he lives in Colorado. I'm like, I wonder if the Andronomans led him to Colorado as considered a safe place, because I looked to see where it was on the map, because I didn't know where all your states are located. And I saw, yeah, it's quite far inland, and it's really high altitude mountain town city. And then also South Park, Colorado. I grew up and it was South Park, and I quite like South Park even to this day, despite how vulgar and violent it is. It's still extremely intelligent, but just the fact that it's just South Park, Colorado is like a sort of a synchronicity and, you know, of a kind of a trigger to keep in mind. Because life is like a dream symbolism, and it communicates in that way, because it is a dream, right? And there's several levels of awakening. Awakening is like an onion. So you awaken to the dark truth of what's going on, and you awaken to the divine truth, and then you awaken to like who you are, and then you awaken to what you're capable of, and you awaken to actually doing it, right? So, because I used to say as well, I don't think I've said this to you guys, there's a difference between reading and studying how to fly a plane versus actually flying the plane. So sooner or later, you know, you put the books away and you actually take the training wheels off and you do it on your own. So there has to be, we are at this point where we're going to have to prepare people to also be so connected with the earth that we will know where this is coming in advance, 2 weeks in advance, to save as many lives as possible. But we have to get rid of these dark ones first, because they'll probably block the roads again, like they did in Maui, and actually also Kelowna as well. They're doing that. Finding out they're not letting people come in and feed them even, or help them in any way, give them supplies. And the cops are like, I'm just doing my job. And I shared a video about that, how people there, the locals, are talking to the cops and trying to get them to realize that that's a very dangerous statement, and where that has got us in the past, saying things like that, particularly the war, right? Where they would just say, we're just doing our job. So that, sorry, tangents again. And then, so back to Alex Collier being in Colorado, he is saying that that is one of the safe areas for floods, the big flooding of the pole shifts, and he was brought there for that reason. But he's saying that also a lot of high up people in the US government know about this, and they're bringing a lot of data and documents to Colorado, and apparently in the future Colorado will be the new capital of the states. So it's not like, because I was asking also about safe places to go, but I know that we'll be intuitively guided like animals when the time comes. But this is why, like, it's very important to be connected now with our spiritual self and accelerate ourselves like a slingshot, because I'm not the only one who chose to do the slingshot route, apparently, to prepare for this. And because we're going to witness a bunch of things. Like, it's going to get very, very bizarre, but truth has always been stranger than fiction. And there is also indications of the pole shifts and when they're going to happen by the sky, watching the sky. There'll be indications there. And then also animals, and they're saying that the earth will tremble and quake. So when that starts happening, we'll know. We'll know. I want to share this in a way where you're not in fear, where we're not in fear. I want to empower you and prepare you, and this is what we're going to be doing with these lives, and my Facebook group I'm creating, and Messenger as well, where I can gather you together and build a group of people again. And that's really amazing. Again, you guys are like the core group that are here. Like, there's not very many. 26 isn't very many, and that's fine. You guys are connected to others as well, and you have your network. And I also just know that we can trust the universe, and it will know exactly what to do and bring the people to us when the time comes. So, just checking to see if that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. I can't believe I covered it in less than an hour. I think. I mean, I never write it down. I could write it down point form, but I don't. I just wing it. So now I'm going to look at all your comments and see what you guys, so I'm going to respond to all your questions. So this is question time, I guess. The concerned citizen is bashful too, yeah. I'm always bashful at first because I just get so overwhelmed with my message and information and what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it, and then it just comes out. So we just really need to focus now on raising our vibration. There's a lot of great information out there. We are going to do something different in this live today. I'm going to end it with a meditation visualization, and I'm going to give you some of my exercises on being able to visit people in their dreams, so I'm not the only one doing it. And that was another thing that was very strange for me as a kid growing up, is that people recognized me from their dreams because I would work really hard later on to do that, to just comfort people, knowing, amazed by people and what they're I just was in love with people at that in my early 20s. I couldn't fathom a relationship romantically with anyone because I was just in love with people, their potential and life, and how different it could be and how we will do it, and so I'd always end emails like, oh, thank you for being you, and we are the answer to our prayers, and love the thorn as well as the rose, and there are no limits, just beliefs, and things like that. Future is only fixed when we see it, so careful what you wish for. Okay, these are really early comments, guys. I'm just going back and seeing everything here. Oh, thank you. Looking good. Yeah, the cats. Magnetic divine light, beautiful. Having a sense of humor. Thanks, I'm enjoying bangs as well. Going down the rabbit hole. It's not that far to Florida. He's always wanting to bring me out to Florida. I feel like where we are in the world, aside from me leaving my family constantly because of fear of earthquakes, or because of relationships later on in life, or just liking the weather better, or just liking a quieter life better than a really westernized country like North America. It's just also where we are situated. If you were to look at us from a ship, from the stars, we are stars ourselves. We are shining a particular light, and we look like constellations where we are scattered throughout the world, and our light is acupuncturing the planet and also sending like Morse code messages to the stars. So location is very important. I might still visit you in Florida, but I still don't know about relocating, because also it's my fur babies that I'm very attached to, and relocating them is not so easy, and also what we got going on at the place I'm at, and the beautiful garden, but maybe at some point I might have to leave that, and when the time comes, we will know. And in the meantime, we're going to do our light work and not be in fear. We will trust that we will be protected. We get to choose as well. If we want to, if we're fine, that we don't care if we lose our form or not. Everyone's graduating. It's also this thing about, which I can't stand about religion, is how only certain people will be selected, particularly my mother's religion, to go to a heaven or a paradise, or 144,000 with Jehovah's Witnesses, or Catholic. Somewhere, oh, if you're a sinner, you'll go to hell. No, everybody's going. Even the wicked can brainwash celebrities because they, to quote the very few lines I like from the Bible is, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they do." They don't know what they're doing. And their soul in itself is not evil. They're not doing this on purpose. They're doing it because that's all they know. And that was something I was also struggling with to understand, is like, particularly with my religious friend, they're like, they're all evil, they must be destroyed. I understand why God would destroy places, all whole cities in the Bible, and worlds, even babies and everything, because they were going to do evil later on. Like, no, we don't start this way. We get conditioned this way, and we shouldn't be judged for that. I've always been bothered by that. Yeah. Tonedefa was on Facebook years ago. Well, you're welcome to come back. Like, I want to take Facebook back. I love Facebook. I don't care. I know how communistic it's become, but I know that we can take it back like anything. It's like any tool. It can be used for good or evil. Exactly. Everything's like a double-edged sword, right? But that doesn't mean it is. Like, if the original intent behind it. The ones that actually have the evil intent for us is another story. Those ones will be removed, and those ones are, how do you say, damned. And they know it, and that's also why they're so jealous of us and doing all this to us, because they know that where we're going and what we're doing and what we're meant to do is very, different than what they will ever have. Because of breaking certain rules that you're just not allowed to do. And one of the big ones is cloning without a soul. And they've created their own race, and the clones are going to be dealt with as well, and most likely removed. There are still a lot of them here that are behind a lot of the things going on, like DW, but also now we don't need to be afraid of, our town being next or burned back better. That if your town has been signed up for a smart city, which pretty much every town has been, that they're going to burn it down and force us into cities and all of that. We don't need to think like that, because we can, just like our star family deactivated all these nuclear weapons, and so all the cabal could do is say, make people think because we know they have it, make people think they'll use it on them and make them have that fear in that way, but not the people don't know that they're deactivated, right? That's why I say that the cabal, the Dark Ones, have absolutely lost. They know they've lost, but they know the people don't know they've lost, so they're trying to milk it for all it's worth. Sorry, back to comments. It's called acknowledging the truth. If we keep our head in the sand, that's all that will be left after it's all over. Exactly. And I mean, again, it doesn't have to be like that. I think that we can, and that's what the star people are getting at. Like, we can prevent a lot of this. And it's absolutely not going to happen, this smart city future where we're like in this AI city and eating bugs and transgender and all that kind of visual that they keep pushing on us, where we'll own nothing. It is all a projected visual to try to hold on to their control of us for as long as possible. And it's like grasping at a pile of sand on the beach and squeezing it really tight, and all the sand is pouring out. And that's basically they're doing. Like, again, they've lost, they know they've lost, so we just have to keep hammering this now to the people. Okay, yes, you're angry, yes, you're sad, yes, this is divine anger and divine sadness and grief, and it absolutely is sad. You have every right to be sad, you have every right to be angry, That is not a negative emotion. If you are going to use that to grow and help humanity and the planet, the animals and all the nature, that's what it's supposed to do. That's the alchemicalization of humans being conditioned to believe they're nothing more than a worthless piece of coal under extreme heat and pressure, which is indeed what we're living now. That's how we become a diamond. Right? And I need you guys to help me also connect with the star people collectively to deactivate things like do, to deactivate what other the storms and the quakes that they're creating with HARP. Let's deactivate HARP. We can do that. That's what we're supposed to do. That's why they're like, we can't do it all. We can't, save you from this if you're not willing to help us help us help yourself. Help us help you. That's basically what they're saying. John, yeah, good to see you talking about these things again. Yes, I know. It's been a while, but I'm back. And I know that's why you guys have been checking in on me in my lives and seeing, like, when's she going to come back fully? She's kind of back, but not fully. But I just, yeah, thank you. Thanks for your patience with me. We will wake up. We have the materialism, greediness, having jobs and earning money. That's an interesting point, Star Brother, because at one point I was a bit like frustrated. Like, I'm grateful to have my job, but I'm frustrated how much time it takes when I'm thinking, oh, I should be giving every moment I can to awakening the masses right now. Like, time is of the essence, and we're running out of time, and my job's like a 9 to 6 basically, and it's not anything divine or for the future. It's a silly game, a violent game. But it helps me pay the bills, and it helps me look after everybody, and it helps me get things that I need to prepare, I guess, because it's really smart to prepare. Particularly as the financial system is about to change as well. But for me, it's also a really good thing in that, aside from the content of what I'm doing, because I can put my intent into the work that I'm doing to have people who play this game wake up, because my vibration and intent is there, despite what they're seeing and visualizing, that they will know what they're seeing, and even maybe not even be interested in things like that again. Like, again, double-edged sword. Like, it can be used for something horrible, or it can be used for something good. And so I realize I can do that, and I have plenty of time to watch videos, listen to stuff, and study and meditate while I'm doing my job. And what I'm working on is being able to do that simultaneously, and working on things that I'm not really good at with my job, which is why it took me a really long time to manage doing a basic 9 to 5, which I don't know why is really important to me, because most of the time I've just been a speaker and traveling the world, and I really wanted to work on this, let's say, muscles that aren't developed within my mind, and also my experience with Diego and the previous relationship, and just the extreme of heavily spiritual to renouncing everything spiritual, like throwing out the baby with the bathwater, pretty much is the term that comes to mind, which I heard a lot during that time, to balance. So I'm working on my balancing myself, just like why I'm going and doing these kickboxing and taekwondo classes, to balance my life. I was too much in my spiritual self, and I do have a body. I can't neglect the body. I have to look after that simultaneously. It is my responsibility. It's all of our responsibility. And that's also what's very fascinating to the star people, is how we're able to multitask all these things, right? And they're like, and a lot of people who aren't really awake, but they're here at this planet at this time just to emit a certain kind of a vibration, just doing that just by them being themselves and just existing here in a physical form. But again, I want to be in my physical form for this transition, so I want to take care of my body as best I can, particularly with this onslaught of attack on our body. with not being able to breathe, you know, forced to wear masks and all that, which I didn't do, and I know you're not going to do either. We're not going to comply. And yeah, and all the chemicals in the sky. We can also get rid of all those chemtrails too, just like that, just like Anastasia was saying, with the bacteria and the kids eating the weapons. We can say that's star people, we can say that's the star children, and that's also why they're attacking the kids so heavily, because the kids are the most powerful. The kid is going to lead the way. Children will lead the way. One that possesses a heart of a child, is connected with their inner child, is going to lead the way. To quote some of the other favorite lines I have from the Bible, those are the few I really like. So, no, we talk about rights all the time, and oh, they need to have rights, they need to have their rights, women's rights, but no one's been more repressed than the child. Like, even just with that video about maps, oh, the children don't get a say, people who are attracted to minors should have a right to love who they want to love, no matter the age, you know. Like, that's, all these things are always just being forced on them. When they come to this planet, they're forced to live the way the adults tell them to live. They're dependent on them for the first couple of years anyway, but they are the true masters. They are the true elders, and the ones that we should be listening to and learning from. And that is how also we will awaken and liberate the planet. And who knows, I might still have children. I might, if I'm open to it, if it's meant to be, it will, you know, but it has to come about in its way, a sequence of events, but it doesn't have to be this way. We have to fight, divine fighting as well, for our rights and for our freedom, and just let them know that we're not complying anymore. But anyway, going back to that, what you said, Star Brother, about materialism, greediness, I think, again, it's about balance. It doesn't have to be about greediness or materialism. It's nice, but it doesn't have to consume us. Like, the problem is it takes a lot of our focus and consumes us. But it's like alcohol, and wine is nice, alcohol is nice, but too much of it isn't good for you, right? So double-edged sword seems to be the theme of this live today. Will profit makers wake up? Everyone will make up. They'll see where they sold us out and everything. They just won't want to do it anymore. And I believe that Maui is a big catalyst of that. Not learning from our own mistakes can just circulate that mistake over again. Certain energies can feed off our mistakes. Absolutely. And also just us being able to forgive ourselves of our mistakes, not letting ourselves self-destruct because of our mistakes, and things that we've gone through, and pain and trouble. Like, it shouldn't make us numb. We shouldn't allow it to make us numb. It should make us more resilient and stronger, and determined to heal ourselves and heal others. Just empathize more with what people are going through, because we're all going through it together. And I also remember, like, every time I saw these attacks in the Middle East, I would just feel so much for them and just be so sad for the people. And I'd always be told, oh, why do you care? That's not in your country. That's far away. It doesn't affect us. I'm like, but it does. This is like the human beings. The planet is a biological living being. The human beings are the cells of the planet. And what happens to one part of the world is like, it still happens. It's like happening to a different body part. It affects us. You're not like shut off. Like, are we so numb that we don't even feel certain body parts anymore? Like, that's what you're trying to tell me? It just didn't make any sense. Like, this is where we should be really connecting and empathizing with everybody. That's where healing comes from. That's where consciousness and awakening comes from. Being aware of what's being done to, like, we have to save the planet. We're here to save the planet, and what's been done to the world, and what's been done to us. I'm really bad today at going through comments. Slow. Mention about when you had the experience of being a fridge. I love that story. I mean, it's not really important now for what I'm trying to get at, but it's just the reason I shared that story is that we are multidimensional and creators in training who want to experience everything there is to experience, and that everything has consciousness, even inorganic objects such as a fridge. So you can have memories of not just past lives, future lives, multidimensional lives, but lives in between lives. And not just like human, animal, plant, whatever, nature spirits, or or angels, or all these things. You can also be something like a fridge and experience, but like, it's your imagination, right? And that's why imagination is so more important than knowledge, like Einstein says, if Einstein did actually say it and it wasn't ripped off. But regardless, the message is important. Imagination is very powerful, and particularly for a creator. Our star family is absolutely fascinated by our imagination and the things that we want to experience, in which like they couldn't even fathom, which is, you know, how we ended up in like this place, this situation that isn't for the faint of heart for a lot of souls. You know, that they can only look on and be like, wow, they're so brave, and we got to help them, we got to do something, but we got to get them to help themselves. So let's see. Where was I going with that? So yeah, being a fridge. I had a life as a fridge. I have a memory of it very clearly through some sort of regression. It came to me. And you probably do. You probably also have memories of inorganic objects as well. I was telling my friend about the fridge experience, and she was like, yeah, I had a memory of a life while doing a meditation when time came to me, of being the breastplate of a wood carving on something of like a pirate ship, or an old ship from like the 1600s or something. Just the breast, not the rest, not the, like, I don't know if it was like a girl or a mermaid or whatever on the front of the ship, but I was like, why just the breast? He's like, I don't know. So that's the thing. It's really funny too. Like, and I bet, yeah, if you guys delve into that within yourself, you'll find that too. And I think that's also important to share, because it stretches our idea of what we think, what is capable of, again, how much truth is stranger than fiction. So yeah. God took Satan's voice away. Why are we being silenced? Well, yeah, that's another good indication for people to wake up and question. I mean, also, again, Maui is such a good way to wake people up, a good catalyst in which you can, if they call you a conspiracy theorist or whatever, you can say, well, do your own research. Why didn't Oprah's house burn down? Why didn't Bezos' house burn down? Why didn't anything blue burn down? Because apparently blue cars and blue umbrellas, and Oprah has a blue roof, and something, there was a video I shared on my Facebook wall, again, how the laser can burn everything but the color blue. So of course they knew that in advance to make sure they're okay. They'll be fine during that. But then also the houses that were fine, the people are being asked to be evicted. The locals are being evicted. Why isn't Oprah being evicted? Right? These are basic things that are very, very hard to discredit or say conspiracies, because that information's there. It's there. And if you look at the pictures that they're showing and the video footage, they're showing that their houses are just fine. It's in the exact same area. And all the records and information are there too of them wanting to buy the land from the locals before, and how the locals wouldn't sell. Also how the law was recently changed that they can buy the land very cheap if it's been destroyed. And also just all this ridiculous things that even the heaviest sleepers, it will be very hard for them to deny and just write that off again as a conspiracy. So those people who are making those videos and are doing that research, I just commend you. It's a not easy work. It's super emotional, and I can imagine how upsetting it is as well. But it bleeding, and it has to be spread. It has to be shared as much as possible, and it has to overtake mainstream media. It needs to get into mainstream media, because mainstream media is doing everything they can to censor and prevent this information from getting out. But even just things like Entertainment Tonight online, I was looking at the comments about the fire, and Oprah, and what she's doing to help the fire and the victims of it. And there people are like, well, Oprah, why didn't your house burn down? You know, stuff like this. So this is really getting through. And also about them not getting the supplies, and them being blocked from that, and how the cops wouldn't let them move their cars, or cars were held for them so they would purposely be burned, and all that. How is it possible that metal has melted, you know, but the streets are intact, and some trees are intact, and stuff like this? This is not a typical fire. Yeah. I was actually going to share that earlier on, but for some reason it's coming out at the end. The ether is where knowledge is held, so our breathing is being restricted. That's right, so the ether is also, you know, basic class physics of matter: gas, solid, liquid. Gas, solid, liquid, and then of course plasma, which I said before in a video. But oxygen, water, memory, knowledge, spiritual connection. Every spiritual exercise starts with you breathing a certain sort of way, breathing in and having a certain level of oxygen to the brain in order to connect to this aspect of ourselves in deeper levels. So yeah, that's also being restricted. And like I said, they're going to bring that back in the fall, and we're not going to fall for it this time. We're not going to allow it. And a lot of people are realizing too. I have friends who refused to get the jab at work, and now they have their coworkers saying, how did you know? After they lost several family members and heard ambulance going constantly after it being rolled out. How did you know that this wasn't good, and stuff like that? So that's another person who's going to be now has people coming to them all the time to inform and teach them, if you will, and help assist them in their awakening transition process, because it's a lot of work. It's not easy, and you all remember your awakening process and how sad you were, how angry you were, how every emotion under the sun you were, how the depression was so strong it almost crippled you, that you couldn't do anything or go anywhere. What's the point? How like all that kind of thing. It's a process. It's not the end all be all. To just great joy and creativity. That's something also that the star beings are very fascinated by, how we're able to process ourselves during this awakening, and the emotions and understanding them, and also our creativity. They're in awe of our creativity and how we're able to make music and paint and all just forms of creativity, because they apparently don't have that. We do, and I think it is because of the amount of diversity that's here on this earth, the diversity university. There's a contribution of everything from all worlds here, and also that we're living so many lives simultaneously, and also all the hardships and strife is bringing out all sorts of creativity within us, and that's so fascinating to them. Genia. Someone else remembered her being a fridge. I think, oh, you guys are reading the comments for me, because I'm not. I think about it all the time when I see my fridge. Well, I'm glad, whatever. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I never thought that would get... So, okay, fine. I'll tell you a bit more about my fridge life. It was green. It was that really ugly, baby, poopy green. And it was from the 70s. I was living in the 70s at the time when I was a fridge. And it was very buzzy. It buzzed a lot, I remember. My best friend was a fly. And I got very excited every time my door was opened. I had company, I guess. But yeah, it's I'm glad that that story makes you think about every time you look at your fridge. A concerned sin is I stopped following him after finding out how much he changed for VIP. He charges for VIP. Are you talking about Stephen Greer? I think, yeah, I think that is his main living now, but from what I can see, his app is pretty affordable, and I think that, again, when people were asking, well, how was he alive doing the work that he's doing? A lot of people were killed for a lot less, and someone said, oh, I think he's being protected by the CIA, but I don't think so. I don't think the CIA has the power to protect him, because in those documentaries, he had a lot of high-up CIA people speaking and coming out and saying, why weren't we informed? I'm at such a high level, and I don't get to know about, the stuff that's going on with the aliens. So he did mention that there was one really threatening one that came to him and made him think that they were, threatening his life. And he did say something like, well, I'm not afraid of death because I had a near-death experience, so I know what it's about and it's beautiful, so I don't care if you kill me. I'm not interested in any of your money. You can't control me by taking away my degree as a doctor because I've walked away from that for doing this work. And you can't deceive me either because I know they're real. I know that they are, here to help us. And so they really had no power or control over him. So I think that the other people that were taken out were in such a high level of fear of what could be done to them and control. They had contracts and stuff like that, but Greer didn't have any of that. And I believe that he was protected. I also have heard from people, oh, I can't watch him, he's clearly a reptile. Yeah, he is definitely a reptile. I saw it through the documentary, and I've always seen that. And but there's a lot of good reptiles. They're not all bad. There's just like there's some, like all the other races, like they can have ones that aren't of the highest, good. That they can fall. It's not black and white. So keep that in mind. I think that he is definitely on the good side of the reptiles. Star People is more poetic. Yeah, it's me and my poetry, right? Go home, AT, and stay there. Well, the dark ETs, I don't even think they're allowed to go home because they destroyed their home, and they've also went through and took over the Greys, held them hostage, changed their DNA as well, and brought them to Earth as their servants. So where they're taking them exactly, I don't know. I just know that they're never going to be allowed to do this again. I know that there's one more world, timeline or whatever, similar to ours, that they're working on freeing first, and then ours. So that's why I'm forecasting within the next few years, maximum 10 years. But I'm just still trying to figure out the order in which things happen versus the pole shift versus removing the dark ones versus will they be here when it has to probably be here when they still here when they do the false coming, or are they preparing for that? Is that with Nibiru coming here? So all these kind of things, why is that allowed? There's still these things I'm working out to figure out. But I just keep getting prevention regardless. You saw the CO2 thing. Yeah, I posted that on my wall. It was from a paid membership, which I only did the 7-day free trial on, I think it's David Icke's new documentary called Divine Intervention. It's okay. I didn't like it too much, but that one part I wanted to record and share because I felt that was extremely important to know and realize how they put it together. Where did you buy your necklace? This is the Ringing Cedar of Russia pendant. This is actually another one I got. It's not the usual one I wear, but they're both, I don't know, $10. You can get them online, or $5. You can get them on the ringingcedarofrussia.com. Yeah, they're from the books that I've read out loud, which, by the way, I still haven't got back to everybody's messages, but I will definitely this week. And I will be uploading the PDFs to my website, so they will be accessible there to everybody who want to read the original books, read along with me with, while I'm reading them out loud, or if you just want to read them on your own somewhere, or have an app that reads it to you, I think. But no, people usually don't want that robotic voice that's there. But alien invasion could be Jesus, Yeshua's 10,000 angels. I mean, they'll make it look like that for sure, because a lot of people are holding on to that, particularly now as things get harder and harder and people are praying and praying for someone to come and save them, for God to save them. Those assholes. I saw that your comment was hidden there, and I was like, look to see, and I'm like, oh, it's just because you said assholes. Oh, that's fine. You can, I'm going to allow this comment. So, anti-life shows their fruits. Yeah, the fruit, you can absolutely tell by what's, you know, behind what they show, right? What's behind that intention. You'll know them by their fruit, right? My friend Amy is a psychic and said, don't get on a spaceship in the upcoming times. It depends what kind of spaceship. Are you thinking about that? Are they thinking about that Twilight Zone episode where they say it's a cookbook? Well, technically, that's what I look at the Agenda 2030 as. It's a cookbook, basically. I don't think they're going to be taking people on ships. I think they're just going to make it look like a big light show. I think it's very likely that they will do something like Independence Day, where they will use a dew to destroy the White House, just like in Independence Day, and sacrifice their puppet presidents or whatever at that time, if it gets to that point. And then that will be like scare a lot of people and really, you know, praying and asking for. They said something that they also want to force the return of Jesus. That's what they're also trying to do by being so anti-life. Force the return of God to step in and do something, even though they know that they've already done something and they already have to leave. So I'm still working on putting all this information together. But don't be surprised if they do something like that to kind of shock the world. But they do have to let people know that they're real soon. They just want to always control the narrative first, so people interpret the information in a certain way that's to their benefit. I believe Vegas blew that show. They always brag before the next stars line up. I don't know what you mean. If you're still here, concerned citizen, I know some people have left because of the time for them, so that's, but if you are still here, let me know what you mean by that. Rachel, Jesus Christ was humble. Don't think he wants to be worshipped. No, he doesn't. I don't think he wants to either, but there's conflicting information in the Bible that says he does, or the true God wants to be worshipped and stuff and praised. So just watch out for those what's the word I'm looking for? Not paradox, contradictions. Hi, Doug. Okay, there's a bunch of held messages for review, and they're all not, they're all the same thing, and they're all silly. Ridiculous. Okay. This is where we talked about the dates, the wheat, and the tares. The tares are the Nephilim. They look like us humans. They can look like us because they're masters of the hologram, and they know how to use the hologram in their favor. But, you know, once you are awake and conscious, they can't hide. You look in their eyes, you don't see any love. So you know that they are not human. You know that their souls have been compromised. And of course, they have been hiding in human form because that's how they hid from us all this time. In the States, at least. Let me go back to your comment, your original comment, because I think that's leading to that one. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Trust no one, question everything. In Greek, Zeus is Satan, the father of Apollonian, the destroyer. Yeah, Greek mythology is super fascinating. I might have to get up and close the door so you can... Blossom wants to be in the video. Come here, Blossom. Let me take her for a second.
Do you want peaches too?
Sure, I'll just show everybody. Come on.
Blossom, peaches, come.
Come on, girls. I will get to the end of this video eventually in the meditation. Sorry, it's taking longer because of animals. Okay, well, if you have them, then keep them. It's fine. They're with you now. They don't have to be in the video. I didn't know she was hiding in here.
No, I'm not hiding it in there.
Well, she was, because that's why you were calling her. She was hanging out under the desk again. Okay. There are no limits, just beliefs, because each and every one of us is the whole of God, and we can see within that which we choose and have conviction within that it is done as love. Okay. That's beautiful. Well put. What the heck? Everybody's coming at once right now. So here's Blossom. She was hiding under my desk. Okay. Here's the business cat. He's here.
Yeah, right.
He's just meowing in the background. Or Cheese. Cheesy Business. He's got 3 names. Cheese, Business, and Bull. Okay. And Peachy. Come here, Peach. Come say hi to everybody. Yeah, I don't want a COVID test. No. Don't like my brain licked. No. Okay. Let me just go back to this now. Okay, you can take them. Creators in training. Stay in Canada. Only go to Florida if you have a good boat with an escape plan. Again, I feel like if it's meant to be, it will be set up for me and I'll know that it's time to go. And I got a bunch of dirt on my camera from the animals. So yeah. I know that Canada needs all the light it can get right now because of all the BS going on here, but so does like Australia's really bad, China's really bad. The US absolutely needs their light workers because the US absolutely must not fall, and they're working so hard to make it fall. And a bunch of European countries are bad. Africa's really, you know, like they need to be there. India, they need to be there. Japan, they need to be there. Yeah. Russia's probably another only safe place, I think, as well. Be probably very safe there. Woke, willingly overlooking knowing evil. Oh wow, that's an acronym. That's interesting. So I like to say awake, not woke. Jesus won't save anyone. Been there. It's for people to realize, though, right? It's religion for me is just training wheels. Sooner or later, I have to take the training wheels off. I don't know what you mean by this. Jesus, Yahshua said not to follow him, but follow yourself. Well, that's good. There's still a lot of contradicting information where people are being told by the leaders of their organizations, religious churches and so forth, to interpret things a different way. 15-minute cities are in the stars, just saying. What do you mean by that? In the stars? That's the concerned citizen again. 15 minutes equals 1 plus 5 equals 6, Satan's number. Possibly, they're into a lot of symbology all the time, like symbolism will be their deathfall. 5 a.m. for you, Kale? Oh my gosh, you woke up at 5 a.m. for me to catch my live. I'll have to keep that in mind, that's the time for you. So it's much better when I do them later on in the afternoon on the weekend, right? So when I do it at 1 or 4 p.m. sometimes. Okay. Well, thanks for waking up for my live. But I was actually up at 5 a.m. today too. The number of man is 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. I wouldn't be surprised if 666 was actually a good thing that was made to something not good. Because that's what they tend to do. They take everything that is good and pure and make it into something evil and anti-life. Again, opposite of life. Satan only exists in the thought realm. No, that's not quite accurate. It does actually exist. Not a Satan, but it's an interpretation, right? A religious interpretation and a way to explain to conditioned people in order to control them a certain way. But it is more of an archetype, and the essence does exist. We experience it all the time. It's everywhere in our face. There's no denying that. But it can't. Does it exist without the light? Is it a double-edged sword? Or sorry, is it a one side, two sides to one coin? God and Satan, right? So these are some things to think about. Balance. So we go from one extreme to the other. That's where we have polarity, and that's where we have conflict and playing favorites and choosing one over the other and choosing the heart over the mind. The heart's wonderful, but the mind also is a great part of the body too and does wonderful things. And the right brain is fantastic, creative, and a wonderful place to be, but I have a whole mind. Why would I choose one over the other and make me into a half-wit? Left brain also, keeps us grounded and able to understand and function, and like, that's the beauty of us, Jess, do you think you and Diego were on the same level of intelligence but from different ends of the spectrum? Was there ever any meeting in the middle? I've never thought about that. I've always thought he was more, at that time I always thought he was more superior than me, and that was fascinating to me because most people I felt like, not that I was more superior to them, but that I didn't feel there was, how do I put it? He was very different than anyone I ever met, and I felt like it's something I definitely needed to learn. Like this was someone I rarely meet people that make me want to learn from them, I guess. Because I have this understanding of a lot of things, but everything I thought I understood, he greatly challenged, and no one ever really did it in that way, the way he did it. And I thought, well, that would be really complimentary for a relationship for me, because I need a very strong partner who will, in a way, stand up, to me and challenge me and make me think and help me to grow and everything, and not just kind of agree or be even a pushover, I guess, to me. I guess that's how I was looking at it at the time. Maybe looking back, we were same level of intelligence. I have to always work with how I think about myself in intelligence, because I have a lot of conditioning that I'm not intelligent. I'm a dumb blonde kind of a thing. So, and didn't do well in school and was always told that, and also by my brother and stuff like that. So I know that intelligence is very different. I guess EQ is more different, than IQ. So it's what kind of intelligence, and it's not how smart you are, but it's not, how smart you are, but how are you smart? So I think about that as well. There was never a meeting in the middle, I guess. It was more, he really worked hard to learn English for me to convey certain things, and the mystery just was so compelling. He was so psychic and so telekinetic and things like this that were very, very fascinating to me. I've never met someone that, I don't want to say spiritually advanced, because he couldn't stand spirituality, but I just use psychically advanced in the way that he was, that it was so fascinating to me, and definitely wanted to learn that too. So it was always like I was the student. I was never the teacher. He was never learning from me. He wanted to teach me to teach others, and definitely wanted to derail me from my mission, and he worked really hard at that, and was not successful, because here I am back again, sharing this information again, and back on the horse. Be wise as serpent, but harmless as doves. However, do no harm, but take no shit. There's a poetic version, and then there's a modern day slang version. Oh, sending me hugs. Okay, gotta make it through these comments. I have a a star sister coming over that I haven't seen in a long time, so I'm very excited about the timing of everything. Hi Jessica, it's good to see you holding up late again. Hope to see you again soon and hope you get the CE5 thing running soon. Yes, so that's something I want to do. I don't know if you guys necessarily need to download the app to do it, but we will be doing meditations of collectively calling our star family to us and talking with them and having our own experiences with them, and figuring out, you know, navigation from there. I look at them like a GPS unit, right? With their perspective from the stars, the satellites, helping us understand the route and things along the way. Here in TV, seeing Kingsman Secret Service movie. Oh, I remember that movie. And well, I see now these movies and we'll see the real plan. Yeah, they do reveal the real plan, particularly that movie. It's very strange, but are like the ideas of the Dark Elite in movies. They always reveal their ideas in movies. Movies, again, double-edged sword. They can brainwash you, or they can, to just thinking that's fiction, or they can awaken you to realize that this is actually true and this is what's going on. And where is the best place to hide the truth? You know, in plain sight. And so they will, when they say, why don't you tell us? We did tell you, it's in all your shows, right? Or where's the best place to hide the truth? In between two lies. I had to pretend to disappear because someone was after me. I don't know. Okay, I'm reading your comments because I usually do that at the end because I can't read them after I post the video. So I'm trying to get through them as quick as possible. But now that I'm reading them, I used to read them while I was speaking and kind of go back and forth. But now that I'm reading them early on, I don't have the context to know where your heads are at, each one of you. You're so funny. Is heaven that boring that we would possess inanimate objects for a time? It's not that heaven is boring. It's not an afterlife. It's a life. It's a life. We have many different lives, you know, in physical and spiritual, and like some are like heavenly bodies and some are inanimate objects. It's not boring. It's exciting. It's fascinating. The fact that, you know, when you do pass, you have, okay, what do you want to do now? What do you want to experience now, right? The more bizarre, the better, apparently. So I'm always fighting for children's rights and always stand up for my children. I'm a pain in the ass for the school system. That's great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that, Jasmine. Hugs from Blue Flyer. I don't know that one emoji. I've never seen that one before, but... About the inorganic objects from Kale, I think spirit collaborate in boosting the character of things. Even something as small as a breastplate, just like a prop in a movie, all important. Yeah, that's a good point, Kale. Satellite with energy beam cannons is old tech. Old tech, new tech, right? They're not as technologically advanced as they can be. A lot of it's archaic, and I think because it's destructive, it is, but still it's not allowed. They're not allowed to destroy the whole planet, I guess, with nuclear weapons, so they're going about it with the CO2. And that's only allowed up to the point that we allow it, right? Because we're also allowing it. So it's like, what are we going to do about it? So again, they can only do so much. We've got to also step in and do our part. Right now, they've been doing a lot because they've prevented several times when they could have fully destroyed the world like they've wanted to do. Oprah had such a wholesome show growing up. I feel like she introduced so much depth, spirituality, and intimate subjects to the public, especially for women. Yeah, she did. I remember that. And Eckhart Tolle and all of that, The Power of Now, and it's just interesting how they portray themselves one way and how they actually are in behind the scenes, right? But maybe she was more pure then, and then they once they realized that she had a lot of pull and was becoming more successful, they invited her to the club, and she was probably blackmailed to, for lack of a better term, sell her soul. Even though we know they can't. That's not possible. You can't do something like that. But to convert to the dark side, it's very likely. Or she was a victim since she was very young, which sounds like she was, with her stories about being molested and raped, that are one of the ways they prepare their future candidates to do their jobs in the future. So, but she's still a victim nonetheless, recruited for that darkness. I don't think she was born that way, like Lady Gaga likes to say, which definitely wasn't born that way. Born a female. Air can get you high if you do it on the regular. Ooh. Okay. I know what you're saying, but okay, it's an interesting point to add. Children are known as the father or teachers, and don't call children kids. They are children. Kid goats are slaughtered on the altar. Oh, nice. Good catch with etymology here. Call them children, don't call them kids. Because there's a reason why spelling is called spell, right? Because your words are casting spells on people by how we use them. So we need to understand the true origin of words that we're saying to no longer keep casting these spells without being aware of it. So a lot of people don't know the harm of saying the word kids versus the word children. Interesting. That's very cool, Tone Deaf. Thank you. Oh, speaking of you, because I think you're the one that told me about Ren. No, it was Beatnik, Bourgeois Beatnik. I'm not so much into Ren right now. I like his latest one, but I want more deeper from him. I also want to see him publicly now that he has over 1 million followers on YouTube. For his music, I want him to be speaking about the world events. I want to see him, and I want to see. I've also been a little bit put up by Jewel because I want to see her speaking about Maui and Kelowna and the fires. I want her to like, I want Ren and Jewel to do this. I feel like you have this big following and you're trying to help the world, and you need to help the world more in this way. I believe that Jewel is helping people with depression and all of that, and that's great, but she knows that she has a spiritual mission as well that the natives gave her, and prophecies from her mother long ago that I feel that she's very shy about going public about that for some reason and nervous, but she really needs to, because the things that she's sharing is not as important as what's really going on. So yeah, I'm just going to put that out there now too, because I was talking quite a bit about Ren and Jewel before, so that's where I'm at with them right now. Vintage fridge, yep. Greer is retired. I don't know if he is. I think he's still going. I saw some videos recently. Why charge $5,000 per head? Are you talking about Greer? What do you mean, for a conference or something? That's way too high. That's upsetting. It should be free. Oh, thank you. I tried to look nice for you guys. Happy Homesteaders, I like your name. I want to thank you, Jessica, for reading the Ringing Cedars on your channel. We got a lot of value out of it. You are loved and appreciated here in Maryland, USA. Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you, and ditto. And it was such a pleasure to read for all of you. I loved every minute of it, even though it was an emotional roller coaster. And a tongue twister, and I lost my voice for long periods of time because I read for hours straight for some reason. I'm like, I gotta do another chapter. I'm like, blah, blah. I barely speak. I don't know why I just push myself when I get really in the flow of things. Jesus is nothing but trouble. I wouldn't go that far. I think, again, it was meant to, the original essence of it is good, and it's helpful and a tool. I think it just was been compromised and used as a tool for them to make another trap for the masses. Because they know us so well, they know our psychology. But I'm not going to ever say something like that about Jesus, because I just don't think that's accurate either. I'm glad you can say no to religion and still appreciate scriptures from the Bible. Because there are some good things in there. I'm not going to say all of it isn't, like deny, like throw the baby out with the bathwater like I did with spirituality. I do have few scriptures that I love. Like I don't subscribe to the Bible as a whole like most people do, or how they do. I just have my few scriptures that I really like, and there's definitely a God. But just, yeah. Holographic projection. Yeah, so I actually have the Holographic Universe and the Secret Life of Plants and the Ringing Cedars and also the Silver Bird, which I also read out loud. And I'm going to put all of those under my pillow and under my bed and try to infuse that into my consciousness to accelerate my intuitive faculty and do an upgrade by doing that. So I know that's one hack you can do. So if you guys have any books, crystals, or content like that on that vibration, have it under your pillow, ideally where your head is going to be, or anywhere around where you're sleeping at night, because of what you absorb. You absorb so much while you're sleeping, so that's why it's not good to have, you know, electronics on or your phone on or the TV even plugged in. It should be unplugged before going to bed and stuff like that, so less electronic interference as possible, so that you can absorb the things that will, because when you're sleeping, the electronics create a block for you being able to psychic lucid dream, for you to be able to remember things. So there's all these things that are preventing us all the time of connecting to our consciousness and who we are, because as soon as we do that, they know it's game over. They can't control us anymore. So but I've also been like working on just because sometimes I need to have them on. It's hard to be able to remember to turn off the phone, so I have a sort of psychic protection chamber around my bed and my head particularly, that even if I do have it on, it's not going to get to me and it's not going to affect me, because I will it that way, and this is a hologram and all this shit has no power over me. All right, so yeah. Jessica, I heard Hawaii is actually not laser weapon, but the dragons rescuing people and securing Hawaii as a second Lemuria. I don't know about that. There's plenty of evidence to show that it's actually a laser. I actually talked about that in one of my previous videos. That it actually kind of frustrated me when I heard that, mainly because if they were rescuing kids from underground bases, that there we would see the underground bases open, basically. So it doesn't make sense that it's just locals' houses and that people were held there purposely to burn and all of that. That I don't believe that the locals who are trying to get this information out are lying, and if they were lying, it wouldn't be censored as much as it is being censored, and that they're really wanting a different story out there, what they're telling the masses in news and mainstream and everything. So I don't believe that. And a second Lemuria we're going to create. Again, we're here to facilitate the death of the old world. Some of us are here just to witness, but most of us are here to facilitate the death of the old world and the birth of the new world. I believe that Lemuria is underwater and will probably rise up above, out of the water during the pole shifts. So Hawaii is a part of Lemuria, only a small part, you know, that's still, you know, above the sea, but there's a big part in that still is yet to come, and it's about the size of Africa, I think. Yeah, so it's quite a big landmass, but there is they wouldn't be done that way if it was divine. Divine, like, they don't do it. They don't work that way. They don't destroy lives like this. They don't deny them supplies. The elites knew about it to a degree that it's clearly the work of evil and not good. Hey. Lovely cat and mutt. Thank you. Snore. Snore, please. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you working from home? Yes, I'm working from home. Snore eyes closed once. I don't know what you mean by that. Codes? Good morning from Thailand. Oh, hey, good morning. I actually was talking about Thailand earlier and the Thailand tsunami and how so few animals, none of them actually died during that tsunami because they knew 2 weeks in advance. And I thought, wouldn't that be, we should be able to do the same thing. We should be so connected with the land that we should know 2 weeks in advance and be able to get out of the way. Because, I mean, when when the poles shift, we will need to be guided on that it's time to leave and where is the best place to go. So we will eventually be leaving our areas and our homes and where we're situated when the time comes. Good afternoon, archetypes. Christianity nearly cost me my life. Religion only divides and destroys. It does. It's designed to do that. It's good that you were able to see that. But to a lot of people, it's very helpful for them, and it's really funny though, because I made Mom watch those documentaries with me, and she's like, I knew that. My religion says this and that, da 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 da. And so, at the end of these films, I'm just like, you and I butt heads so much. We're like oil and water, and I'm sure at some point we're gonna both look each other in the eye, and we're gonna, because I'm like, we're both going to be, you know, witness all of this in our physical forms. We're because my mother's 70 now, and there's a lot of like people like, you know, David Icke, who's 69, and they're like, we're gonna be in our physical forms to witness this transition. So I'm just like, so I don't want them to think because you're older, that's it for you, you're not going to get to. Yeah, you will, in your physical form. So as we will start to be able to live longer and stuff like that, and reverse aging to a degree, because Atlantis, the people lived to about 450 years. Anyway, that's where we're getting to. Jumping ahead, as always. I told her we're going to look each other in the eye, and we're going to say, see, I told you. We're both right, but in our own different ways of coming to it. But I still just can't stand her religion and how it just it controls her. That's the other thing that bothers me about religion, is that Christ and the true God in the Bible is the only way to salvation and hope of any sort. And with this documentary and with the star people, there's so many ways. And I'm even trying to show some of my other religious friends, like, there's so many ways. Don't just say that Christ is the only way. There's many ways. Why are we like locking that and judging and everything is evil except Christ and except what the Bible says? It's like, oh. So anyway, that's another qualm I have. What's this one? That's for, let me see what this message is. It was retracted. Okay, so. Try the silent prayer. Be still and know God. Prayer is one thing, but if prayer was enough, like Jewel says, there are plenty of people who pray for peace, but if praying were enough, it would have come to be. So prayer is not enough, basically. We need to do a lot more than pray. We need action with prayer. And I've also like the collective meditations of visualizing love and comfort and consciousness in crime areas in Detroit, for example, that were done, and it greatly did reduce crime. So I want to do that with you guys as well. I want to do these visualization exercises and meditations that reduce the pain and suffering that so many people are going through in their depression, and empower them psychically, telepathically, energetically. All countries use Alexander the Great military tactics and the art of war. Alexander the Great was supposedly born with thorns, maybe ram horns, Apollonian, the king of many names. Oh my gosh, they use those archetype characters. You know, like the documentary Zeitgeist, how they show the religion's characters were used throughout time for the rise and fall of many worlds, and it's always the same similarities these characters have to our religious characters today. Look up Bill Donahue. Oh, that name's familiar. I must know him somehow. I just don't remember in this moment. You'll never see the Bible the same way again. Well, I already don't. I mean, even with Diego was constantly showing me how awful the Bible was and how violent and gory it was, and how God was willing this, and then South Park, of course. So yeah, prove that. Let's just take everything he has and kill everything he loves, and just to prove a point to Satan and stuff like that. That was not a lot. That was Job. So yeah, no, I have some idea, but if it's like that, then maybe that's how maybe I know who Bill Donahue is, but I remember like Diego would print up all the worst stuff in the Bible, and he really could not stand religion at all. And so the aim is to balance, but his idea was to be atheist, and atheist is absolutely not the way either. So, but then, I don't know, renouncing all of that, but then still being as psychic and spiritual as he was, but not evil. He wasn't evil. He did disconnect me, but I guess I chose that apparently to help myself help more later on in the future, and myself. But he would never like harmed any life. He didn't rejoice in harming anything. He just lost his faith in humanity and was upset with humanity as a whole, and didn't think that they deserved to just he thought they deserved to face their extinction, basically, like thinking that it was all their fault. But he like loved animals, was so gentle with animals and plants and everything. I constantly saw how he would observe nature, and I learned so much from him in that way. And or how he just loved teddy bears, his appreciation of teddy bears, and how he wasn't ruled by the physical desires and stuff like that was both fascinating and frustrating. Yeah, so well, I can't call him evil. He probably definitely was a reptile, but he wasn't an evil one. He was a very old, frustrated one that seems to have been stuck on this planet and was, I guess, trapped me to try to figure out that somehow I could figure out how to free him here. So, yeah, bizarre. At some point, I'm going to have to write again, if it's necessary, the blog at those times, in a way, not rewrite it, but do a follow-up to the realizations of what my time with Diego was really about versus what I thought it was at the time. Yeah. The aim is to balance both sides of the brain. It's like a dance partner, or one having aspects that complement the other. And then when the two learn to communicate, they work together and they build things. Yeah, exactly. I like that saying. I have to remember your guys' sayings as well, because I always use mine, but you guys have your own words for interpreting what I'm saying. They were never meant to be in conflict. Yeah, exactly. So that's just another thing. Like, they're just, these dark ones are just architects of conflict and doing everything opposite of life. How do we make so much conflict and trouble in the world for people so that no one is immune to it? Everyone's life is hard and goes through traumatic things. They've been really busy, hard at work doing that for a long time. I heard a good definition of IQ once that I really liked, though I don't remember from where. A good measure of IQ is one's ability to adapt. One's ability to adapt, yeah, and there's that quote also from Einstein, like, if you judge a fish by its intelligence and its ability to climb a tree, then that's, you know, not, versus a monkey, right? It depends on how you're judging intelligence versus on, you know, what kind of creature you're looking at, because a fish could probably teach, it may not be able to climb a tree, but it has all these other things that it can teach about life in the water. They put me a year back in school. Animals are intelligent and humans are clever. Intelligence is knowing. Oh gosh, I was put back a year in school too. I was so bad in school, and all I wanted to do was daydream. And again, like I say, I think that was on purpose. I think a part of me knew not to pay attention to school so as to resist the brainwash, because, you know, you'd think that the educated people with degrees are the most intelligent, but they're actually just end up being the most brainwashed. So the ones that did not do well in school or couldn't, you know, they were the ones that were least successful in brainwashing. Unless they recruited them for the streets and stuff like that, and crime, which is also another horrible trap to bypass. Aw, thank you. I'm glad to be back. As I understand, it is like a cosmic legal clause. It's like we told you, but you weren't paying attention. That's not our fault, kind of a thing. Yeah, it's like a contract that we weren't aware that we signed. Exactly. Okay. Weak-willed people tend to lean towards being more selfish, and strong-willed people tend to lean towards being more generous. Yeah, well, that's a good way to look at it too, and to know the truth of people and their hearts and stuff like that. Even if you don't have much, you can. There's still a lot to be generous about. I love sharing, and I guess that's generous. But I get more. Even for my birthday, I would always be like, what can we get for you for your birthday? I'm like, think of something that will make you happy, of an object or whatever, if you like. Buy that for yourself, or get that for yourself, or do that thing for yourself, and your happiness will be my birthday gift. That's what I'd always say, every birthday, because I also grew up with a strange religion that didn't celebrate any holidays, not even birthdays. So even to this day, she still will not celebrate them. It has to be on another day, and oh, it's so weird. Anyway. Yeah, thank you. I wish we had more schools in Canada that taught using the ringing cedars method. That's in the works. But again, first we got to get rid of the darkness altogether before we can implement the new way of living and being, and then we can have ringing cedar teachings and have children teaching us as well ringing cedar methods. I saw something in someone's psychic show about Hawaii being a feminine center on Earth. I wouldn't be surprised. I really love this Raylene girl that's doing videos about Hawaii and how she was led to be there at Maui at that time, and the light work that she's doing and healing there, and talking about that area particularly that got targeted, and how green she wants to see it again, and all that in the future, and how to help create it. She's just doing wonderful light work there. And I just love this sort of, I'll share her video, but you guys might have seen her videos already. She looks so much like my good friend Tamara. So I joke, I'm like, that's your doppelganger, light sister, star sister, who also found me through the Ringing Cedars and Project Camelot interviews. But the heart of the world is supposedly Uluru Rock in Australia. Well, you gotta remember too, like, it's not necessarily, like, it could be both. Basically, the landmass, we're looking at it geologically from how our landmass looks now, but Lemuria, or the heart chakra, is not just condensed into one area, it's extended out. That could also be a part of, like, Hawaii, some of it underwater, or a lot of it underwater, and then also connected to Australia, or peace broke off in a part of Australia. It's all, like, still can technically be the heart chakra. But also, like, if I touch an area here, a pressure point on my hand, it is connected to a vein, which, you know, flows to all over the body, but also the heart. So it's reflexology, and so it's an energy that is all connected to the heart, basically, of the planet. And the lungs, the trees are the lungs of the planet, right? But that's also a heartbeat as well. Didn't the last Zeitgeist get into transhumanism, though? So the first one I'm referring to, not the last one. I actually didn't like the last one either, but the first one had a lot of good points, and probably started off with good intentions, and then because it got a lot of merit, it got compromised. They got compromised later on down the line with their other stuff. So that's very likely. That's, again, what tends to happen. But also to just, again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's some good things, and there's some not good things, right? So that's able to use our discernment to decipher, because that's also how they trap people. Like, we tend to think, because it had some good things, that all of it's good, right? And that's but people who do these videos can eventually become compromised, particularly when they see what a pull it has on people. That's what I really like about Anastasia, is that it hasn't been compromised, and it's still beautiful essence and the purest thing we have out there. And that's there's just so many things. Like, also, I don't know any books that allow or religious teachings that are so creative, the creativity that comes from it, like from the Ringing Cedar books. Diego seems manipulative. He was manipulative, you're right. Bill Donahue shows the good stuff in the Bible. Okay. Sorry for not clarifying. I do know him. He's familiar, but I just can't remember exactly what his context was. Wait, not with him anyway? No, I haven't been with Diego for a very long time. Many years now. Intelligence doesn't equal adaptability, though, does it necessarily? I think adaptability is a part of intelligence, absolutely. I think we need to be able to adapt to situations and more so also evolve. So adapt, you can get used to a situation, which isn't necessarily good. Like a frog being slowly boiled in a pot is getting used to that temperature. But evolving and with consciousness of understanding, okay, and discernment that this is not a good situation, I need to get out of this, we should not adapt to really uncomfortable situations in hopes to get a carrot and a stick, in hopes to get a reward or get our normal life back or a paycheck or whatever, right? So that's not intelligence. There's other facets that are clearly missing there. You can't plant seeds in rotten soil and expect them to grow strong and healthy. That's why the darkness has to be abolished first. Exactly. Love that saying. This is the real Canadian Rage YouTube. I'm going to try, I don't know if I can follow you guys after the live too. I don't know. I'm going to try to do this. If you guys have to make comments to my live afterwards, I'm not sure how this works. You still talk with your South African friend Jessica? I do, actually. Yeah, we are on Facebook, and we talk every now and then. She's also seeing that I'm returning, and she's very glad about that. Exactly. And they said Jesus didn't exist. That those books are nice. I found Bill in Zeitgeist Doc. Not all intelligent people are adaptable. Yeah, okay, there we go. We're catching up. Oh my gosh, I'm almost at the end of the comments. They are two different things. Are you still in touch with EO? How are they? Well, EO, first of all, is one person. Yes, and also EO is Kale, who woke up at 5 a.m. to make my live in Australia. But EO was a name he gave himself, and then he went back to his original name, Kale. And he's good. He made a video, which I encouraged him to do, and he's going to do more. Hopefully he's not going to delete them anymore. He'll make a video and delete them, and I'm like, no, you have to leave it up. It's helping people. You don't know who it's helping. You might think it doesn't, but you just kind of got to get out of your own way and share your information, and then just leave it there and don't take it off. My local witch doctor told me that no more rain will fall through a large hole in my roof. I think you're just telling jokes, Tone Deaf. I think that's what you usually do. I was thinking it was Kale. Yeah, just a feeling. No worries. Okay, that's all the comments. So this video is getting long, and I'm hungry. Hello, Uni Matrix. So let's do a meditation for everybody. Okay. I'm going to teach you just one for now. I'll do another different one next time. And so what we're going to do is you're going to rub your hands together like this. And you're going to breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And you're going to move your fingers back and forth. And you're going to think of a color. Let's use, I'm really into gold right now, and violet, and of course green. And you're going to put them inside, in this, between the center of your hands. And you're going to put intent in there as well. So here we go. We're going to put love, of course, lots of love. And then comfort. I always like to put comfort in there. Strength. Remembrance. And then you're going to move your fingers and hands back and forth again. So what I want you to do is feel the energy of your fingers in your fingertips and the temperature in your palm. Is it warm? Is it cold? And with your fingertips, you'll feel them pulling, like something's pulling, like there's rubber bands or something connecting your fingers. It's really fun. You can pull it really far, really close together. And you're visualizing all those colors and all those feelings and intent. Let's put some healing in there as well. Let's put clarity in there. Just sit with that and feel it and play with it, malleable. We're making basically an energy ball. It starts off like this. You're still breathing. We'll put beauty there. We'll put the truth in there of a future. I have to open my eyes to make sure that the camera doesn't shut off, because sometimes it does that. And then when you're ready, we're going to send it out to the world. The first thing it does is it expands and it grows and it fills the whole room and it fills inside your body. You can feel it in all your cells. And it spreads out through the whole house or place that you're in, whole town, whole city, whole country, and all the countries. Just you're seeing it spread throughout the whole world. You see it stop and concentrate a bit longer on Maui. A bit longer in the areas that you know are currently ravaged. Kelowna, Northwest Territories. As it spreads throughout the world, it also goes inside the ground. It goes to the Arctic as well. It just spreads across the whole world, all the way inside the earth, and up above into the sky, to the stars, to the heavens, to our star family that's above us with thousands of ships just waiting. And we will as well that this light, this package will visit people in their dreams, teach and remind and comfort and heal them there, that they will wake up with a new sense of joy and excitement for life, at the potential, at how different the future is going to be versus what they were told. That they're not alone, that we're here for them, just waiting for them to realize that and connect with us, our soul family. And we can send this light throughout time. We can send it to all of us when we were younger and all these people when they were younger as well. As children, babies. Particularly in all the underground bases and all where we know that the pain is really strong and concentrated. And in the other realms with the etheric, with the nature spirits who are struggling a lot with what's going on here on Earth and what's being done, how it's affecting them. As well as the plants, the animals. They all feel it. They're all getting that message. They're all excited to connect with us again. Interdimensional family reunion. When you're ready, you can come back. Okay, guys, so lovely. Thank you so much for being here with me. Om Namah Shivaya, Siva Om Namah. I see and honor the divine in you, mirror projected, reflected in me.